I do. Nice back here again, and this time I've got an inbox review for you. What we're going to be doing today is the Hasegawa Apache longbow, the AH64D in 1/48 scale. Now this kit's been around a good while, I think early 2000s, but looking at the inside of it, it looks really nice. So what we'll do, we'll get it to the overhead and we'll start cracking. So as always, we'll start with the instructions. So normal Hasegawa fare, the fold out type. We've got a bit in probably Japanese and a write up in English before we then move on to the actual assembly. And as you can see, it's really busy. Okay, so I'll try and talk to you through it as best I can. So starting up at number 1, up in this top left hand corner, it's where we build the pilot and some of the cockpit panels, which I like how they're separate parts, so that'd be easy to mask off and stuff like that. We then got the cockpit assembly. Moving on to, that looks like the rotor housing and putting the actual pilots into the cockpit, before we then move on to number 4 and we close it all up. Then down here to number 5, where we are installing the winglets, okay, where all the weapons hang from. Then back up the top to number 6, putting the winglets on, some other bits and pieces in the cockpit. Then on to 7, start looking at wheels. It looks like they've got a flat surface for weight on wheels. Moving down 7 to 8 over here, where we then start adding some of the wider parts of the actual Apache. Okay, 9, the engine nacelles then go on there and get built. Number 10, tail wheel and tail horizontal stabilizers. 10, number on to 11, putting the window on and the cockpit canopy. And down to 12, the target system at the front, the TADS assembly. On to 13, actually adding that onto the aircraft. Down to 14, some odds and sods going in all over the aircraft. Before we move on to number 15 up here. Number 15, again adding some bits and pieces to there. 16, the tail rotor starts to get built when we install that onto number 17. Number 18, some more lumps and bumps being added. It says various parts there. 19, the 30mm gun assembly gets added. 19, down to 20, putting that onto the actual aircraft. 19, the FCR assembly, so the radar on the top. Before we then move on to the main rotor assembly up here, putting it on to the rads, okay, attaching that to the actual aircraft. Some of the stores going on the side of the aircraft, and then actually putting them on into the final assembly. And then when we turn it over, we have sprue map with your colours in, let's see, we've got Mr. Hobby, and I'm assuming, yeah, so the dark square boxes, the black boxes, them Mr. Hobby, and they're aqueous. Okay, and then we move on to the actual colour call out. And if you notice, there's only one marking option for this, so it's just the United States Army. I don't even know where it's from. I've just got the serial number, I think, back there, and that's it. Okay, and that's the instructions. So really busy, but as long as you take your time and follow it nice and slow, you should be okay. And I've folded that up wrong, which I will deal with in a minute. Oh, that's better. Okay, so we'll move on to the plastic now. So we have got the first part of our main fuselage. Okay, and you can see we've got some lovely recessed panel lines in there, but some raised rivets on there as well. I don't know if you'll be able to catch that. Okay, we have some of the winglets, some parts of the tail, all on there. Okay, a little bit of flash. Remember, this is like nearly, well, it's 20 years old. Okay, this moulding. That's one. And then we've got another one, exactly the same. One would be top, I would have assumed one would be bottom for the tail and the winglets and stuff like that. Okay, a little bit of detail on the inside of the cockpit. Then move on to actual cockpit and some of the cells itself. So we've got the rotor, the main rotor there, which looks really, really nice. Okay, looks like that's going to be, it's quite well engineered, that the join for the rotor is actually sits behind these parts here. But again, these are going to have to probably quick sanding stick to be able to get rid of the seam lat, the actual mold line. Same on this part here. Okay, you've got a mold line that goes from there all the way down, right next to a lot of rivets. Okay, and they're raised rivets, so that's going to be a little bit of a pain to get rid of. The cannon round feed, and some more intakes, and then we've got the actual cockpit, and you can see there how we've got the texture on the back. A little sprue of the pylons. Okay, nice molded detail again. So yeah, looks really nice. Then on to another part with some more rotor parts on there. That's probably part of the main rotor. Same with that. We have what looks like the exhaust. I think these parts are 2-part. So that's going to be has to be dealt with. I don't know whether inside will be seen. And then we just got some more little odds and sods that go all on the aircraft. Again, really nicely molded for a kit that's 20 odd years old. Some more bits and pieces, so some wheels, some parts of the undercarriage, and all that sort of stuff. There's some tread. Come on. There's some tread on the wheels. There's the main weapon. The tail wheel in 2 parts, with a wheel attached. We've got another small one of the pylon, and then we have 2 of the same. So we've got the rockets and some of the actual, I don't know whether bombs or rockets or what they are, but we've got the rocket pod there, the main body, forward and aft section. The sort of like the nacelles on the for the main body and the belly. Okay, so again, you can see we've got some nice detail going all around it. That's the radar on the top again, raised detail on the top and underneath. There we've got some of the cockpit panels. Okay, so you can see got some nice detail on there. They'll take a nice dry brush. Some of the instrument panels just there, again, some nice detail on there. And then we have 2 of the safe sprue. Just checking, yeah. So we have the main rotors, the pilot figure, and the seats with a molded on seat belt. Okay, so if you are building this with the pilot in, you're going to have to get rid of those seat belts. And there's quite a bit of flash on that little fella. And I can't see any seat belts actually on him. And then we've got the tail rotor just there. And then we've got some poly caps and the clear parts. And again, the clear parts look really nice. I don't know if that's a scratch or just a mark on it. I'll have to have a look at that. But again, some nice, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, detail on the clear parts. And the clear parts look really, really clear, crystal clear. So really nice. And that leads us on to the decals. So you can see we've got United States Army all the way through, and then 1 to 0. So I'm assuming you can then change the serial numbers if you so wished. So you've got 8 sets of serial numbers, all the odds and sods. Really quite thick, especially them US Army parts. Won't be using those for the panels, but they'll be a good guide to help me paint them. Yeah, so you can see there, 2001, made in Japan. So these actual decals, not these ones themselves, but they were originally being printed in 2001. So there we are. There's Hasegawa's Apache. It looks like a nice enough kit. For obviously the age of the actual plastic, not this one, obviously the moulding and what have you. There's going to be some, I won't say troubled parts, but some parts that you'll have to deal with, like I said, with all the raised detail, and try not to obliterate that as you are sanding the seam lines. So you've got 2 options: either take it out, or see if you can get a raised rivet set that can replicate that. Not a bad kit for, I think it's £40. I know there's the 1/35 one that's out, but the 1/35 one, I couldn't fit it in here. It'd be just too big. But for this one, I believe there's this one or the Academy one. And I think the Academy is very similar to this one. Anyway, that's it for now. I will see you on the next one. Bye.